Welcome back. This is Mrs. Rubright with Algebra 1 Honors. Today's lesson is 2-4, solving two-step and multi-step inequalities. My computer actually just crashed, so we're going to just start this lesson over. We're only a couple minutes into it, so here we go. Solving inequalities with more than one step. Find the solution set, justify each step, and graph the solution set. So we wrote the original equation, and then we're just going to rearrange things so that the x's are by each other and just the variables, those constants, are by each other. So we're going to use the commutative property of addition. That's like when your parents commute to work. They drive to work, they move around, so we're just rearranging. 4x's plus 1x is 5x's. Negative 3 plus 8, or 8 minus 3, is 5. So we have 5x plus 5 is greater than 20, okay, after we combine those like terms. Next, to solve this two-step equation, or two-step inequality, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides because we want to get rid of whatever's on the same side as the variable that is not attached to it first using opposite operations. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. So this is the subtraction property of equality. You're subtracting 5 on both sides, which leaves you with 5x is greater than 15 when you just go ahead and simplify that. This is solving for 5x, but we don't want 5x's, we want 1x. So we need to divide by 5 on both sides because 5 is being multiplied by x. The inverse operation is division because any number divided by itself is 1, or 1x is greater than 3. And so now we're doing, that was the division property of equality, or property of inequality, because these are inequality symbols, not equal symbols. Okay? So our solution set, x such that x is greater than 3. We need to do a open dot on the 3, and our arrow trick says we shade to the right, to the positive numbers. You guys see the arrow trick? This is going to match the direction of the arrow. As long as your variable is on the left, you can always use the arrow trick. How would the solution set change if the inequality symbol in the above inequality were greater than or equal to rather than greater than? Then the solution would include 3. It would be all values greater than or equal to 3. All values 3 and larger, right? How would the above solution process be different if the first term were negative 4x? So if the first term was a negative, then we would have had negative 4x minus 3 plus x plus 8 is greater than 20. So when we combined like terms, we would have had negative 3x plus 5 is greater than 20. We would subtract 5 on both sides. Negative 3x is greater than 15. Then we would have to divide by negative 3 on both sides, which would leave us with x is less than negative 5, because you have to flip the symbol. You would have had to flip the symbol because you would have ended up multiplying both sides by a negative number. You would have needed to flip the inequality sign because you would have divided both sides by a negative. Make sense? All right, so our distributive property could help you solve inequalities. So you just distribute. If you have A, parentheses, B plus C, that's A times B plus C, times the sum of B and C. So you would just distribute A times B plus A times C. So we're going to use the distributive property. So going here and distributing, we would have negative 2 times 3x, and then, I guess plus, negative 2 times negative 8 is less than 10. Right? Which would be negative 6x plus 16 is less than 10, which I guess they actually did in one step in the book. I was showing you the work, I thought they were going to show it, because they always expand everything else out, and then they just decide not to. So this is the same thing as negative 6x plus 8 times 2 is 16. Negative times negative is a positive, is less than 10. And so that was just the distributive property. And then taking that, we need to get rid of that plus 16 by subtracting 16 from both sides. Subtraction property of equality, or property of inequality. Leaving us with negative 6x is less than negative 6. Divide by negative, wait, why does this not have a, This should have a negative here, and for some reason it doesn't, but yeah, it should. So we're going to divide by negative 6 on both sides. Add in that negative since they have a typo. Because we're dividing by a negative on both sides, that's the division property of equality, we need to flip the inequality symbol. So we're going to flip it, and we're going to get negative 6 divided by negative 6 is positive 1. 1x, or x, is greater than 1. So our solution set is x such that x is greater than 1. So we are going to do an open dot on the 1, and our arrow is going to the right towards those positive numbers. Once again, using our arrow trick, it shows you which way to shade. Why was the inequality symbol not reversed when you multiplied by negative 2 using the distributive property? Because you were only doing that to one side. You only flip your inequality symbol if you're multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative. Because you only did that to one side. You only flip it if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative. Find the solution set, justify each step, and graph the solution set. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So I'm just going to go minus 12, right? And that would leave me with negative 3x is less than or equal to negative 6. And that was the subtraction property of equality, or property of inequality. POI, I guess. Poi. Now I'm going to divide by negative 3 on both sides, leaving me with x. Flip my sign. And negative 6 divided by negative 3 is going to be positive 2. So I have x is greater than or equal to 2. And that was the division property of inequality. Sorry. So that's x such that x is greater than or equal to 2 for our solution set. So we need a closed dot on 2, and we're shaded to the right. I want you guys to go ahead and try number 2. Give number 2 a try, and then we will go over it. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to get that one started. You can start with the distributive property there. After you do the distributive property, you said 2x plus 8 is less than 14. Now you're going to subtract 8 from both sides, leaving you with 2x is less than 6. And that would be the subtraction property of equality, or property of inequality. And then you're going to divide by 2 on both sides, leaving you with x is less than 3. And that was the division property of inequality. So your solution set, x such that x is less than 3. So we need an open dot on our 3, and we are shading to the left. Are you guys okay with this? So your homework on this assignment is 93 and 94 in your workbook. Have a great day. Like and subscribe.